Hi, I'm Carol Dean with the Roy W. Dean Film Grants and from the Heart Productions. I'm also an author, and I've written a book on manifesting. And I want to talk to you about how simple it is to manifest, because actually you are releasing a potential that already exists. Now, let's try to get this thought across, because it's a very simple one, but it's really hard to believe that your whole life is out there waiting for you, because you're manifesting every day. And the trick is to manifest what you want, not what you don't want. Think of writers. I've talked to writers who say they get a story, and once they get into it, they create some characters, and when the characters start talking to each other in their head, they know that film or that script is ready to write. So then they sit down and they write their script, and when they're finished, they have moved that product from a vision, from a thought form, into this physical reality. They have released a potential. Think about how inventors work. They get an idea for a machine. They say, oh, that's a labor-intensive job. I can fix that. And they start building something, and the next thing you know, they've invented a new machine that does the labor of 10 people. It all starts in the mind. Think of your artist who goes and sees a magnificent landscape and comes back to their studio and recreates that. And you see it in the museums or in people's homes, and they have taken a vision and transported it onto a canvas for all of us to enjoy. And I think probably the easiest way to recognize what I'm talking about is a piece of coal. If you look at a piece of coal, it's a very light black rock, and you think, what good is this? But when you ignite it, it turns into heat and light, and that's what you do when you manifest. You transfer the energy from one level to another. The potential is already there, so the things you may want to achieve in your future, the potential is there. It's up to you to manifest it. Now, manifesting is a natural law. It's an active law. You have to work on it and at it, but first you have to recognize that it is there and it is operating at all times. It is moving energy from one level to another. How do we do that? Well, mostly we do it through words. So let's talk about the dictionary. It says manifesting means apparent, not hidden. Making something visible. And these are key things for you to remember, because when you start listing the goals you want, then you've got to make them very clear. You have to see what you want. I've talked to people and they say, oh, but I want so many things. How do I decide? Well, you have to make a list of 3 things, no more. You've got to be very clear. And I recommend you start with small things and find out how it works, because it's so much fun when it happens and it's a joy. Then you can move to a higher level. Okay, one of the main ingredients that you need is faith. You ask for something, you visualize, you see it, and then the left brain comes in and says, oh, but if this, then that, and this won't happen, and how could I ask for this and get it? And so that is not your problem. You leave that to the universe. You have the faith that what you want can be achieved. And you ask for it, you see it, you visualize it, you know the potential is there, and your job is to release it. Now, you did this as a child. I bet you that you manifested your birthday present and your Christmas presents for years. And all of a sudden someone said to you, well, you've had it really easy. Now you have to go out and support yourself, and it's not going to be as much fun and easy, because now you have to work to make that money, etc. And somehow that visualization and that childlike belief closed down on you. But this is what I want you to regain. When my granddaughter Eliza was 3 years old, we saw a movie. And she loved it. And as we walked out, she held up her little hand and said, when I'm this many years old, I'm going to be an actor on the stage. Well, she couldn't even count. But at 5 years old, she had her first part in a play. Now, don't tell me that's not manifesting, right? So it's there. It's up to us to get back into it. Manifesting, it can be used for money, but I think it's really more. There are many more things than money. There's ideas. Example, when I have a problem, I usually will take that problem into my bedroom where it's very quiet, unplug the phone, lay down, get comfortable, and I will state my problem and the two solutions that I can usually find. And then I say, is there a better way to do this? And I leave it. And usually within 24 hours, either I'm washing the dishes or I'm doing some dumb little work around the house, and bang, I'll get that third idea, which is almost always better than anything I thought of. So ideas, health, it's really, really important that you see yourself healthy. Let's say that you have an illness and it's just not working, you're not getting well. You must visualize yourself in perfect health and hear yourself saying, oh, I'm healthy. I never felt so good in my life. Because that's the end result. That's what you want. Well, I don't have any money for drugs or anything. Well, that's not the answer. You have to turn it over to the universe and let them solve the problem. So I'll tell you, there was a time when I had a very serious problem. It was a low back pain, and I couldn't solve it. I didn't know what was wrong with me. And my daughter invited some people over to the house, and I'm sitting on my couch, and the woman next to me is saying that she had a serious problem with kidney stones. And I said, yes, what did it feel like? And she said, I had this really bad low back problem. I said, where was it? And I said, I pointed to my back. She said, oh, it's exactly where it was. So since I don't frequent doctors too often, the universe sent someone to me in my own house on my couch to tell me, to diagnose what was wrong. I then called a filmmaker and said, what do you do for kidney stones? And she looked in N.W. Walker's juicing book. In the back is a marvelous list of illnesses and remedies. And she said, one thing, you can't eat cooked spinach. And I said, oh my heaven, I have that 3 or 4 times a week. And I had just come back from New Zealand where I've been growing spinach in my garden and having too much. So I stopped the spinach. I started drinking some tea that she recommended. And in a week it was gone. 2 weeks I was in perfect shape. So I use this. I use this art of manifesting, and it helps. And I'm recommending it for health, because remember, that perfect health was sitting there waiting for me to discover. Now, could have been someone else who went to a doctor, had some tests taken, and they found out what was wrong. But they might not have told him, don't eat cooked spinach, which was really my problem. So another way we manifest is words, all right? Words are very powerful. You go back to John, the book of John in the Bible says, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God. Now, I take that latter part to mean that words are sacred. And I advise you to consider the power of your words. Rather than say, oh, I can't afford that. Remember, Reverend Ike said money has ears, so be careful how you talk about it. You might say, I just don't choose to spend my money on that at this time. But give power to the words that you use, because they truly are manifestors. I will say that another way you manifest is you go to work, you give 40 hours of your time, and you get a paycheck. That's manifesting, right? Farmers manifest all the time for us. They plant tomato seeds, they grow tomatoes, or they plant zucchini and weed zucchini. But the key here is to know that whatever seed you plant is what you get back. So when you look at your words, when you're planting seeds of despair, hopelessness, poverty, that could be what you get back. So you want to really pay attention to that. Because your words could be putting in requests to the universe. You can ask for money. Yes, I've seen that happen. One time I had a business, and I had created an idea for a machine. It was a dropout compensator. And a friend of mine, an engineer named Gene Leonard, created the machine. So we became partners. I sold it and he built it. And we knew that it would be stolen, that somebody would grab it within 2 or 3 years. And sure enough, after about the second year, Sony announced the following year that that dropout compensator would be included in a machine they were selling. So we knew we only had a few months to sell everything. And I had put a lot of money into it, so I kept visualizing that at the end of the year, I would have $40,000 in that account, which would cover me for my investment and a profit. Well, at the end of the year, it wasn't there. And I was really disheartened because this works for me and normally. And I kept thinking, what did I do wrong? And what I realized was, what year are you talking about, you see? So time. The universe is time sensitive. So then I started saying, at the end of 92, I will have 40,000 in this account. And constantly believe that. You believe it, you feel it, you let it go. I had that. I had a little over 40,000 at the end of the year, which taught me to be very careful about how I phrase what I want, because open-ended things are just that. Someday I would like to have means, God willing, you live that long, because you may never get it. So we can use this for many things, all right? Now, remember, it's ask and it shall be given. That's a wonderful thing to remember. Keep saying that to yourself, because it's faith and trust. And you need to realize that your vision brings your achievements. Fred Alan Wolf is a marvelous writer. He's a physicist who says that daydreaming is in. And so I want you to put time in your calendar on a daily basis and use it for daydreaming. Actually, it's really fun to do when you're driving, as long as you don't overshoot your destination. I've done that before. But visualizing is what you did, and daydreaming as a kid. Now, Fred Alan Wolf says something unusual happens, like a handshake across time. That you see it, you feel it, you're there, it happens, you let go of it, and in fact, later it happens. And he said it's not serendipity, it is that you created that. Now, you want to use your willpower to manifest, and how do you do that? The best explanation I can give you is when you're watering a lawn and you have one of those hose nozzles that you can turn into a spray. Well, that doesn't work good when you're trying to manifest. But when you tighten that nozzle and you get that strong, heavy force that comes out of the almost closed nozzle, or like a fire hydrant truck does, you're on. That is willpower. It's not stress, it's not pushing, but it's your willpower, your belief, your faith. Those are important things to use to manifest. Don't pressure yourself. If your deadline for achievement is coming close, just have faith and see what happens. Believe, but don't push, because then fear and all these other things come into it. That's not what you want. You want peace and harmony and enjoyment. When I was about 14, 15, and I was in high school, my best friend in the whole world was Danelle Bingham, and we spent all of our time together. We took every class together. And Danelle's mother ran her life. She picked her clothes, she told her what to do and how to do it. So one year she decided that Danelle was going to be a cheerleader. And there was no way I could be a cheerleader because I was the bookworm. My father wouldn't let me stay out late, so on the weekends my girlfriends would bring me their homework, and I did that for them while they went out and had a lot of fun. So I agreed with Danelle's mother that I would help Danelle, and together we would create our own yells. So in the hot Texas summer we did all of this work, and we had so much fun. And probably around August I began to think, you know what? I really would like to be a cheerleader. And then the left brain said, oh, but there's no way, Carol, because you didn't do all the PR work at the end of school and nobody knows you're going out. said, I don't care. So I'll never forget, I got on my knees one night and I said, listen, this is the most important thing in my whole life. I don't think I can live without this. I really have to have this. So then I began to negotiate with the universe. I will not be stuck up like most cheerleaders. I will keep my grades. I will not hide when Mother wants me to help her with the dishes. And the bottom line that I knew sealed the deal was when I said, and I'll babysit my sister. Well, this great peace came over me, and I knew it was a fait accompli. The deal was set. So it never entered my mind. Cut forward to school starts. We're all in the auditorium. Danelle and I are sitting there. We're very excited. We're getting ready to go up and do our performance. And the principal of the school walks out and says, for the first year ever, we have decided to change the way we choose our cheerleaders. And we have brought in the cheerleaders from Southern Methodist University to choose the winners. So, as you might imagine, I was chosen one of the 4 girl cheerleaders out of the whole school. And even though Danelle didn't make it, we somehow worked it out with her mother so that she wouldn't kill me. But Danelle really never wanted to do it in the first place. I was the one that wanted it. And so it's that power, you see. And there is a point when you're going to know, I've got it. And that's when you move forward. It's waiting for you. All right, so what we want to do is, let's do a recap. 1, manifesting is releasing an energy that already exists. It is changing the form of something. Faith is needed. Faith, belief, trust. Words are manifestors. Give yourself daydreaming time. Fred Allen Wolf is the man to listen to on that. Use the power of your mind to create your future. In fact, that's exactly what the title of my book is, The Art of Manifesting, Creating Your Future. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you will realize that your future is sitting there waiting for you to release it.